welcome everyone to today's webinar brought to you by Bolide Technology Group. First of all, we want to thank all of you for joining us today. We are excited to be here. Hope every one of you can find this webinar useful. So we will be going over the complete integration of Angelo HD technology. I am Nancy Garcilaso. I will be your moderator today, along with Stephen Frias, our regional sales manager. How are you doing today, Stephen?
Doing excellent, Nancy. Thank you for asking. Excited about this webinar.
Me too. And also with our technical support engineer, Mike Lugo. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to have you with us, Nancy.
Thank you. So if anyone has any questions or comments during our webinar, please type them in at any time. We will be going over the questions at the end of each section, as well as at the end we will have time for Q's and A's along with some discussion. On behalf of Bolide Technology Group, we thank you all once again, and now I'm throwing it over to Stephen.
Thank you, Nancy. So today we'll be going over complete integration of HD technology. Now we're going to touch on some basic essentials of HD, why it's important, why we use it. The quick switch on our new cameras, making it completely integratable. That's kind of the mantra of this webinar. High definition standalone DVRs, our app that goes with it, and our new 1080p DVRs, the GUI of it, and some of the advantages and functions of it. What is Angelo HD? It uses our next chip HD technology that can bring us now 1080p and 720p. Some of the overall general basics that you probably already know if you're familiar with, it's HD video over traditional coax cables. So if there's already coax there, you can hook up our cameras and get a high def picture just like a 2 megapixel quality without any of the IP licensing. You're looking at 1,500 foot runs over coax, 492 feet over UTP. And the good thing about this is uncompressed video straight from the camera to the DVR. So you're not going to see any latency. It's going to run really smooth. And once again, since it's 1080p but it's not IP, you're dealing with low cost, something more of an traditional analog system. Just to give you an example of where we came from and where we are now. As you can see, SIF a long time ago, we upgraded to 720p. HD over coax, and now we're moving to 1080p, and we'll be going over that throughout the webinar. Just to point out some examples of traditional analog 968, you can see on the upper left, the image kind of stretched. It's not exactly proportional to how it is physically in reality. You can see the lines aren't as crisp and clean. On the lower bottom, so you can see that now that physical form looks like it is in real life, and those lines are a lot more crisp, and you can see those words, celebrating 19 years of success, as opposed it's blurry on the top left.
So now that we have an understanding of the Angelo HD on where it stands and how it compares, do we have any questions at this point?
Thank you, Nancy. We'll be moving on. And we're going over to our HD over coax camera line. Some of you may be already familiar with our 720p line, 1 megapixel sensors. 720p HD over coax has a quick switch. We're going over that as we talk more about integration with analog and HD, and also our digital wide dynamic, a feature that comes with it, and some other features we go over as well. We have now upgraded to a full 1080p line, 2 megapixel sensor, 1080p full HD over coax. That's huge, and also the same exact features as 720p that we've added, with the quick switch and all the OSD functions we'll be going over later. Just to touch on the line really quickly, we're going to have a fixed eyeball, that's easily adjustable, easily installable in a 720p and 1080p version, going up to 65 feet IRs, IP66 weather rated, so indoor outdoor. Same thing with the bullet, both 720p and 1080p version of this fixed bullet. It's easily installable. Once again, also to 65 feet. Also, our traditional eyeball, very focal, 2.8 to 12 millimeter in a 1080p and 720p, going out to 100 feet this time with IRs, 36 IR LEDs. And this has, once again, the 1 megapixel sensor for the 720p and 2 megapixel for the 1080p. All outproof, weatherproof outdoors. Also with a bullet version of that, but we're able to fit a little bit more IR distance in that, 230 feet with the bullet. We also have to have a vandal dome for low-hanging eaves and anything that needs to be in a lower area for vandal resistance. We're going out to 100 feet with IRs We have once again the 2 megapixel, it's a 1080p, and the 720p version of it.
These cameras are equipped with a great variety of features and options. So I'm just checking in. Do we have any questions or comments, concerns? If not, just put them in mind and type them in as we go.
Thank you, Nancy, once again. So this is what, once again, I was hitting on about complete integration. This quick switch, it's on the lead of the camera, where you can switch back and forth the HD-TV lines or 720p or 1080p. And also, we're going to be going over all the OSD functions, the digital, wide dynamic, backlight, shutter control, and so forth. So, Mike, why don't you help us go over about how to work the toggle switch and how we go back and forth to high definition back to analog.
Sure, Stephen, and I want to emphasize this point since, tech support, I hear a lot of the calls. One of the problems that we have is people are pushing the button down to switch between. I just want to emphasize when we say go to the left or right, that you just go to the left or right and don't push it down. Pushing it down will bring up the OSD. We'll go over that in a bit. But like I said, pushing it to the left for no more than 10 seconds, you will see the camera flash if you're using 720, and it'll go over to 800 TV lines, and vice versa. Holding it to the right, no more than 10 seconds, it'll go to 720. By default, it is in 720p high def mode. So if you plug it into a analog DVR, you don't see a screen, that's okay. Go ahead and just do the holding to the right or the left, and it'll soon come on.
And we also this range true at the 1080p. I think this also is not only important for if you're trying to get a camera, one of our HD cameras onto a system that's already existing analog. You can switch it over to integrate that system momentarily, or until they actually upgrade to full HD technology. But also too for testers. If you've spent money and invested on a tester, and that's how you adjust the camera on the ladder. You can switch it back and forth, back to analog, use your tester, and then just back to high def. So there's a couple of 2 ways you can integrate and utilize this. Now we're going on to the OSD menu. Once again, you mentioned that you just push down on the toggle switch, Mike?
Correct, Stephen. So yeah, pushing down on the toggle switch will bring up the OSD menu, and there's a variety of features there. Yeah,
there's you can see the lens, exposure, backlight. We're going to be going all over those all individually. First of all, digital wide dynamic range. This is huge for already installed in the camera. But what am I looking at here, Mike?
Yeah, so the wide dynamic range, we emphasize this because there's so many attributes that go along with it. Things like shutter control, backlight compensation, sense up. But in this particular screen, you can see that there is a level of intensity you want to set to the wide dynamic. And right now it's set to 4, but to increase or decrease the amount or the sensor that the wide dynamic has, be able to do that with the digital wide dynamic. As you can see here on the pictures shown, so wide dynamic will take care of glare situations, extreme light, low light, pictures where you get a blackout on the screen, or in extreme light conditions where you get the whiteout. The digital wide dynamic will take care of that, and you'll get a much clearer and better picture.
Yeah, I'll read back to the levels that you can adjust that. Sometimes you need a little bit more wide dynamic, a little bit more power in one area or the other for different lighting conditions. Now we'll be moving on to shutter control. Now this also kind of ties in with wide dynamic and some of the other features on here. You want to go over, Mike, some of the features of the shutter control and how we can utilize them?
Sure. As you can see that all these features will be found under the exposure option. And the reason that it is because you're concerned about how the camera's taking in light and the exposure that it's in. So with the shutter control, there's a lot of different configurations you can go with. On the top picture, shutter times 30, that can be adjusted up to from 30 to 1. On the right, you have the time that the shutter takes in the light. So 1/60th of a second, all the way up to 1/5000th of a second. That's very important because it has to do with shutter speed. And shutter speed is important for situations like, for instance, license plate recognition. And you take into speed, distance, and the time that light takes to get to the camera. You have to take these factors into consideration, and you can adjust the shutter speed to get you the image that you want. As you can see here, slowing down the shutter speed will allow you to capture that license plate on the right in a normal speed situation, you'll never ever get that license plate. It just whites out the whole picture.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Huge, Mike. You know, a lot of people ask for a separate camera that's a vehicle license plate detection. In this case, you can still use one of our cameras just by adjusting the shutter control speed in a driveway, in parking lots, at the angle that you can get a good read on that license plate and get that on camera without the headlights blurring that out. So I think that's pretty huge.
Yeah, it is.
Now, also backlight compensation, that also kind of has to do with shutter speed and wide dynamic, right, Mike?
Correct, correct. And there's two images here. The backlight compensation is basically going to compensate for the light in the back of the image, your desired image. If you see the picture on the lower right, you can't really see, it's kind of cut off on the corner, but these 4 black boxes will allow you to adjust and compare as you change the light. So you get the image you want, you'll be able to see it in one of the 4 squares. So it's pretty easy to configure and it just helps along the whole configuration process.
And also sense up. Now, how does that kind of blend in or help out with the camera lighting and adjustments?
The sense up is really important because that's going to have the IR sensor. You can adjust it to the amount of light that's coming in and might need to make the IR stronger or less reflective to not get that snowy image on your night vision.
Perfect. Now this next one, mirror. It may not sound like something that could be useful, but after kind of going through it, it looks like you can mirror the image back and forth. How does that work, Mike? And how do you think it's important?
This is especially important for installers. I'm pretty sure you all know already how difficult it could be when getting the camera in certain angles or certain mounting positions. This is going to allow you to either flip it vertically, horizontally, and you can also mirror the image, which is a 180 direct reflection of the image. It also has a freeze function. I mean, that might not come into play, but you never know. You might need it for one reason or another, but this is very important, and I'm pretty sure installers know what I'm talking about when it comes to mirroring the image.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you're trying to get an eyeball around a certain area and you can't really readjust or reinstall the camera, well, maybe that flipping that image may get that little extra angle that you need. Now, built into the camera is motion detection. Now, Mike, from my understanding, motion detection really is at the DVR end. That's where you program it. That's where you function. Why do we put built-in motion detection to the OSD?
Good question, Stephen. So we do it as a fail-safe redundancy. You're right. It is mostly done at the DVR, but if you know how the DVR detects motion, it's through movement in the pixels. And sometimes heat or weather can come into factor, and even that mirage image might set it off, might not set it off, might affect the motion being detected. With it being on the camera as well, like I said, it is a fail-safe. You're going to have just an added protection that the image will be detected in motion.
That's definitely a good backup. I think is if there's a malfunction, it's just another fail-safe that you have as a feel good, you know. And it also goes along with privacy zone masking, right, Mike?
Yeah, and it works the same way as a fail-safe. You know, and this actually allows you to change the colors. It's got a cool little couple features that you might not need, but it's very important when it comes to doing the motion detection process.
So with the OSD, obviously you can definitely customize your image the way you want it. Lots of great features. But I do want to mention that on our YouTube channel, Bolide Technology Group North America, we do have a video on this OSD, and it gives you a quick run through on how with the button itself and how to go through the menu. So if you guys want to check that out, the video is called Angelo HD Hybrid with a quick switch. And if you have any questions or comments, type them in. We'll really appreciate it.
Excellent. I'll be going over, thanks again, Nancy. We'll be going over now our DVR line. We'll start off with what we currently have, our 720p Angelo DVRs. Some of you are probably already familiar with our line. We have a 4-channel, 8-channel, and 16-channel, pretty standard. Although we can record 720p and 960h on all channels, you know, for integrating, you know, mix and match, it will still get record the best resolution. There's one bay for a hard drive, up to 4 terabytes, and all 3 of these models. And it does have an eSATA port for backup only, just an extra backup feature. Now moving on to our Angelo Full HD 1080p DVRs that we just brought on. Now we're calling these DVRs a Tribrid. Now, Mike, you want to elaborate why we're calling these DVRs a Tribrid?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people are thinking, what is a Tribrid? We build into our TVRs, of course, our traditional 960H recording. And of course, we all know about our HD over Coax, Angelo. But we also added HD-TVI to the mix to, I'll let Steven answer that one.
Well, we have, once again, I keep hitting the same kind of point of the webinar is complete integration, backwards and forwards. We want to do it at the camera end. We also want to do it at the DVR end. So if you're going to install one of these DVRs to upgrade to Angelo HD technology, and someone already has an existing TVI system, a 4-channel, 8-channel, what have you, you can integrate those into our system, as well as any other analog cameras to go along with that. So we want you to be able to transition easily into Angelo HD technology. Now going over our HD 1080p series, there's a slight few differences. We can do 1080p and 720 recording on all channels. We can have a little bit more storage in it since we're recording at a higher resolution. You can throw a 6 terabyte hard drive in the 4 and 8, and even 2 6 terabyte hard drives in the 16 channel. Pretty much the same essence of what we had. We include the quick connect. We'll be going over that in a little bit. I also want to highlight too as well that there is an IR extender that we can include. It's built into it. With Bolide, we can offer an IR extender for the remote, so you can control the DVR from another room. Now, this is the interface. So once you get one of the 1080p DVRs and you open it up, it's going to look a little bit different than what you're traditionally used to if you're typically used to our product. Now, Mike, what different am I looking at here?
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are pretty familiar with our DVRs. You see that there's a new screen, and what's really important is it's a setup wizard. And I think it's really important for installers so they don't miss something during the setup process, or even the end user. They can more personalize the DVR, make it feel like it's their own. The wizard will take you step by step through recording schedule, through motion detection, through even setting up the hard drive. So this is a pretty cool and important feature, I think, of our new DVRs.
No, I agree, Mike. I agree. I know we get a lot of phone calls sometimes from end users that are looking at their DVR, just don't know the simple step-by-steps of it, or even when they call their distributors or so forth. This is just a good way for them to kind of go through themselves and get some of the easy things, and they can just answer right up the front screen. So I think that's a huge time saver. Now I'm looking at addressing mainstream and substream. First, we're going to go over mainstream. Mike, do you want to talk about what I'm looking at here and why it's important to adjust mainstream?
Yeah, sure, Steven. So you see here we have the mainstream, and also as a substream. I just want to point out that they are found in different places. Mainstream is found, as you can see, under the record section, and the reason being because you always want to record on the mainstream at the highest quality. Substream would be found in the network tab. Reason being because usually you view to the substream at a lower resolution, so you don't have to interfere with your bandwidth. But also here in the mainstream is where you'll set your 720, 1080 frames per second and bit rate. And let me just remind you that it's 15 frames per second, 1080p, and then of course you get 30 at 720p, and anything below that you also get 30 frames per second. And here's the substream. Like I said, it'll be found under the network tab, and you can enable or disable the actual channel. Frames per second, it's always lower than the mainstream. It's never going to be as high. Reason being, you want to be able to have that option to view at the mainstream or at a lower quality, like I said, for bandwidth purposes. And also you can set the audio from this as well. And I want to point out that when doing the audio in the mainstream and substream, you have to enable both sides. If you're streaming the video on your phone, you won't hear it unless you enable it here in the substream.
That's a good point, Mike. We get a lot of questions sometimes, and the installer installs the DVR, and the either installer or end user saying, look, this looks great at the monitor end, the recording looks great, but I'm going to my phone, it doesn't look good. What's wrong? And I think that this is huge for answering that question. Lowering the stream will actually increase the video's clarity on your phone. So that's why this is enabled, and it will not affect the recording or view at the actual DVR.
That's correct.
Now, what's different about playback, Mike?
So there's one major different thing with playback, but for the most part, if you're familiar with our DVRs, it's the same timeline interface. You select the camera you want, select the day, but the biggest thing that's changed is the amount of playback videos you can do at once. As you can see there, there's 16 screens. You can do 16 at once. Previously, it was only 4, so that's pretty big. That's been a request for a while from some of our customers. Why can't we get more playback at once? So we took care of that, and yeah.
Now with email, now this is a function that we've had for a while on DVR as far as sending an alert email once motion is detected. You input your email address and it'll send you an alert once motion is detected, and how you set it up on which channels. What's different about the email function that we put into this DVR, Mike?
Well, this is huge, Stephen, because previously the email function, although it worked, it did its job. We had a lot of customers calling and saying, why am I getting emails every 2 minutes? I'm getting 300 emails a day. Take this thing off. So it kind of made the email function obsolete because, so many emails were coming in. So we took care of that. We added a email schedule to the mix. You can now customize when you want to get emails, what time of the day, what day of the week. Do you want them on motion? Do you want them on alarm? You can set certain settings to just help alleviate that problem and get more along the lines of the emails you want to get. So it's going to help out a lot.
Yeah, no, that's going to be huge because I get hey, why do I have 400 emails in a span of one day on my phone? I think this is once you set it to, okay, I'm on vacation, now I want the emails, or in the middle of the night, I do want to get an email on my way at work. That kind of stuff. I think this is going to be huge to utilize that function. Now we also add up a backup and cloud storage. Now there's a few we have front about this and what its capabilities are. Mike, do you want to go over that?
Sure. Back up real quick. You see it's pretty simple. You select the time, date you want, and hit the backup button. Now, but when it comes to cloud storage, like Steven said, we're going to be upfront about this and how it works. What it does is it's more along the lines of sending notifications. Instead of going to your email, you can send them to the cloud. It doesn't actually do a full recording. It gives snapshots, and you can send them. Right now, we're only supporting Dropbox, but that can improve in the future. But for now, yeah, it's just snapshots of the images, whether they be motion detection or alarm settings. That would be up to you.
I think that's huge as just an extra backup. If you set your alarm settings for motion, and then they come in and take the DVR thinking that that's going to alleviate the problem. Well, guess what? You have a little image backup of the motion detected, possibly get something more on camera that you wouldn't have before. Now, file transfer. This goes in line with streaming and cloud storage. Mike, you want to go tell me how it works?
Sure. So, file transfer protocol, as many of you don't know, it's just how 2 devices can exchange files, and then the protocol that it uses. And this basically is just like cloud storage. It's going to do snapshots, but instead of going to a cloud, it's going to go to a folder or a machine either on your local network or on the internet. But it's going to go to a machine and not somewhere in the cloud. So it's like Steven said earlier, it's just another form of backup. Someone takes your DVR, you have not video, but you have snapshots of what happened.
Now, RTSP, now this is something that perked my interest when we put this in, is RTSP. Normally, this is a protocol that's in a lot of IP cameras, right, Mike? And how does that work with our DVR?
This is huge. This is very huge. RTSP, real-time streaming protocol, like Steven said, is used usually with an IP camera. This is going to allow you to stream video over a network, whether it be on a website, whether it be on a local computer, and stream that video without having to log in and go through the process of DVR. You can do 1 through 16 channels. I just want to be upfront. This is an advanced feature. It's not for the everyday user. It's not for the home users who want, I want to use RTSP. No, home integration, this is big for, stuff like that. So it's for an advanced user, but it's something that is needed in the growing market today. This is really, really big.
Yeah, it could be a game changer, especially if we can integrate more into home automation. Maybe a good pathway for that.
So there's a lot of versatility in these DVRs. Sounds like it's very convenient and functional. Do we have any questions on this category? I see we do have one question from Bob Eason. Is the RTSP on smartphones?
So to answer that, Bob, so RTSP, like I said, is a streaming protocol. So depending on how you're accessing it, you don't want to necessarily use it on the phone, but it will be on a website, or you would need a player maybe to get to that. It's not going to be on the app, of course, so the app displays the video that you're watching. So RTSP works a little different. You can have it on a phone, to answer your question. In layman's terms, yeah, I guess you could have it on your phone, PC, tablet. It's a streaming video is what it is.
I'd see a actual application of this as if maybe a storefront owner had a camera that just looks in his store and he wants to display that on his web page, so they can see how much foot traffic is in his store. This could be a good application for that, right?
Correct.
And we do have another question. Is the CMS software backwards compatible with older bolide DVR models?
That's a good question, and it is. It is up to our 9000 HD models. And I'll get into that in a bit. We'll go over the whole CMS as well. But to answer your question, yes, it is. It is backwards compatible.
Great. If there's any more questions, we'll answer them at the end of our categories. So if there's none for now, we'll keep going.
Okay, now we'll be going over our Quick Connect technology. This is pretty much standard on our on all of our DVRs. We have it now in our full 1080p edition as well. We'll talk over just briefly how it works. There's a difference between Quick Connect and peer-to-peer, just to kind of clear that up. Mike, I'll go over the difference.
Sure. So for those of you who aren't familiar with P2P, it's a peer-to-peer connection between two devices, and there's a lot on the market. Almost every DVR nowadays has a QR code on it. They say, scan it, get it on your phone, but that's on the end user side. So there's still a lot of configuration that goes into setting that up. So what we did is we adopted the P2P technology and we came up with Quick Connect. Quick Connect takes the hassle out of the installer or anybody adding the DVR having to do any kind of network configuration. So we took the P2P, made it our own, and made it very simple to do.
Yeah, I've given some similar presentations about our Quick Connect technology, especially when we first adopted it, and I hear a lot of people, other DVRs may have a QR code on top of their DVR, but you still have to do a DNS setup. I've had that question before. Do you have to still have a DNS process? And with ours, we took that, we adopted it, and you don't. It truly is a plug-and-play solution. So hitting that point, no port forwarding. Even though we have a QR code, you still don't have to go in and configure and do any more settings and steps. Mike, do you want to go over how easy it is as far as the connecting of it?
Sure. So those of you who have seen some of our other webinars, you know that we try to keep it as simple as possible and make it as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1 being download, 2, scan it with our app, 3, you're ready to stream the video. That simple. That's kind of our thing here. We want to keep it as easy as 1, 2, 3 always when it comes to the customer. So as you can see here, the QR code will be located at the bottom left corner of the DVR. Once you download the app, you put your phone over the QR code, you'll hear a beep, and you're ready to go. Here's a quick picture of our interface. This is actually the interface with Google Play, but it's also available at the App Store, and it is free. We don't charge anything for our mobile devices, for our mobile app. And just pretty quick, the menus and what they look like. The main menu, the actual live screen, the playback calendar, the device manager, and the individual cameras. And once again, this is another picture of what I just said.
So now we're going to go over the few slides over the surveillance client with the Angelo HD software. Mike, do you want to go over what I'm looking at here as far as live view is concerned?
Sure. So as you can see in the live view, I want to point out too that with the CMS, you can have multiple DVRs on it. So it's perfect for like a center. If you have multiple customers or if you have multiple at your home or your business, you can see them all in one place. It's totally customizable in terms of your view, what you're viewing. You can grab 3 pictures or 3 channels from one DVR, 3 from the next, and I'll have them on one screen. So it's very customizable, very easy to use. I'll go over the setup process in a bit. So add the device, and it's going to go pretty much the same lines as the mobile device. We go with the QR code. We don't use IPs. Try to stay away from that. QR code is the way to go for us now because there's no configuration. Like I said, no port forwarding. We take all the headache out. And so once we import the device and add it to the group section, we're ready to go.
Now you talk about the QR code. You're talking about that number that's on the actual right below the QR code on top of the DVR, correct?
Correct.
Right there.
Yeah. And as you can see, the device ID is located right under the QR code. It's usually letters and numbers combined. It'll say ID in front of it. But I want to emphasize that when you do add it, it is case sensitive. So it's now all caps, usually.
And playback, are we looking at a 4-channel playback as well, or?
Yeah, so of course the CMS still does have the 4-channel viewing, not like the DVR, we can do the 16, but it's still the same timeline interface, like all of our other DVRs and our previous CMS. You select your camera, you select the date. If you see on the calendar, there's little triangles on the corner indicating that there's video there. And then when you search on the timeline, you'll see bars. If you have it set for motion, or if you have it set for 24/7 playback, the color will indicate what it is, and just simply click on that picture, and you're ready to go playback.
EMAP. I know this is a low-known feature, but it is very useful. Mike, do you want to go over that?
Yeah, EMAPs is very useful. So what you can do with EMAPs is upload a picture of the plans, blueprints of a location, and then you can just drag the camera and its location to the blueprint's location. And when it detects motion, has an alarm, or something happens, you'll get a preview of that picture, what's going on, and you'll be able to see at that second what's happening. You don't have to, if you have security guards, something like that, they won't have to run. They can see what's going on. Maybe it was a false negative or something, false positive, and it helps a lot in centers or monitoring centers.
Yeah, I think that's huge because sometimes they can be looking at a camera, but they have to direct someone to go. So now in here they can say, oh, southeast corner, get an alert, pull a video. I see 2 purples.
And
so we do have a question right now. Do the EMAPs, can you use a simple hand drawing if need be?
That's a good question. Yes, you can. As long as it's a JPEG, any picture can be uploaded. Anything you want, really. But yeah, that is a very good question. Sometimes you don't have access to blueprints. You don't have access to layout. You can definitely do a hand-drawn picture.
Yeah, so any more questions or concerns about our app and client software, just, ask away. And this would be wrapping up our webinar. So if you have any questions or comments about anything, we encourage you to type them in. We do have a question. How much video storage can fit in the 1 terabyte HDD at 1080p?
So at 1080p, you're not going to get much recording out of that since it is 1080. You're only going to get a few days. So you want to get more than 1 terabyte now on our new DVRs. That's why we increased the ability up to 6, even 12 terabytes you can have on a DVR because it takes a lot more storage. You're not going to get nowhere near what you got before with the 720s or the 960. It's hard to say exactly what you get. Varies on motion or how you have the recorder set up, but it's nowhere near what it was before. So you are going to take that into consideration when you get a DVR. You're going to need a lot more terabyte space.
Great. So, but I just want to add in, I do believe it's appropriate to say that our phones have become a tool in our daily lives. So, how awesome is it to watch over, your personal assets, your home, your family by just simply reaching into your pocket? What a great peace of mind, like some sense of security. It's very important. And for the installers, how great is it to not have to deal with networking, IP addresses, or even configuration nightmares? And also, we do have another question. Is the app available for iPad?
Yes, so the app is available for the iPad, iPhone, for any Google device, any of your market. And once again, I just want to point out that it is free. The app is free. A lot of other DVR manufacturers charge for their apps or charge for licensing, something like that. All that stuff is going to come to you free.
Any more questions? Anything we should add in? Anything? Concerns or any comments at all? If we'll stay on here for a little bit for anything else.
Well, on behalf of Michael, I definitely want to say thank you for joining us. But
we do have another question. Can we get a copy of this webinar sent to us? Yes, you will have a copy, and as well, we're going to be posting this on our YouTube channel, Bolide Technology Group North America. So you'll definitely be able to get back to this webinar.
Yeah, and so if anybody needs it, just get with your sales rep, have them get the email or any information that we might need to get it to you.
Can we get we have another question. Can we get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Sure, definitely. We can do, like I said, when we do get the send over the information, whether it be email address or how we're going to get it to you. You can also just ask that if you want the PowerPoint or you want the video. We can send either one.
yeah, it will be posted up on YouTube, so you can play it at your leisure. I want to say thank you for joining us. On behalf of Mike and I, we did enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. See you next month.